Imagine living in a village where one man is so powerful that people think he's basically God. His word, law, his desires, non-negotiable, his passions. Well, let's just say they're as dangerous as the Nile in flood season. And if you dare oppose him, good luck surviving taxes, land seizures, or a quick trip to jail. Sounds dramatic, right? Oh, it gets worse. Today, we're diving into a story that is as scandalous as it is heartbreaking. And trust me, you won't forget this one. This story takes us to Kafr El Teen, a small Egyptian village where the mayor is basically running the place like his personal playground. In fact, calling him mayor is an understatement. This guy acts like the god of the Nile himself. He decides who eats, who starves, who gets to live in peace, and who gets trampled under his big, dusty sandals. And everyone bows. Literally. If the mayor sneezes, the entire village catches a cold. Why? Because survival in Kafr El Teen depends on groveling. Farmers, sheikhs, laborers, everyone worships at the altar of his ego. Even religion is bent to serve his purposes. And when you think religion will come to save the oppressed, oh no. Religion in this story is like that shady friend who says, "Don't worry, I got you," and then sells you out for a few coins.
Look, okay? It's not my fault.
Our tragedy begins with an old woman named Zakeya. Poor Zakeya is just trying to live her life quietly. But the mayor? He has a little obsession. His roving eye lands on her family. First, it's Nefissa, Zakeya's daughter. The mayor wants her working in his household. Zakeya's family resists at first, but resistance is as useful as an umbrella in a hurricane. Enter Hajj Ismail, the village barber and part-time manipulation expert. He convinces Nefissa's father that refusing the mayor's request is basically treason. When the father hesitates, Hajj Ismail asks the ultimate question of patriarchal logic. Who is the head of the house? Boom! Problem solved. The father beats Nefissa, because obviously nothing says loving father like corporal punishment for refusing to be a servant. Off she goes to the mayor's mansion of misery.
Life's not fair.
What happens next? Predictable. Nefissa gets pregnant. And because the mayor is allergic to responsibility, he doesn't want any scandal. The solution? The baby is abandoned, and Nefissa vanishes from the village like a bad memory. But the mayor isn't done. Oh no. He now sets his sights on Zeinab, Nefissa's younger sister. Because when you're a tyrant with unchecked power, why stop at one victim when you can have two?
Yeah, baby!
Zakeya, terrified for her daughters, seeks help. She turns to religion, hoping that Allah, or at least the men claiming to speak for him, will save her. So she travels to Cairo, to a mosque, expecting compassion. Instead, she gets a spiritual scam that would make modern-day con artists proud. The sheikh tells her that for Allah's healing to work, she must send Zeinab to the mayor's house. It's God's will, they say. And when someone slaps God's name on their plan, who dares argue? Zakeya is crushed, but she obeys.
Oh, for God's sake.
Meanwhile, the mayor continues to strut around like the Nile crocodile king. He sets people up, throws them in jail, ruins families, and nobody dares challenge him. Why? Because fear is the ultimate weapon. The villagers know that if they fight back, he'll seize their land, double their taxes, or make their lives hell. So they stay silent, watching abuse unfold like it's some twisted soap opera they can't turn off.
What are you watching?
Even Zakeya's nephew, who returns from war, full of hope, can't save the day. Instead of fighting tyranny, he dreams about marriage. That dream ends quickly when the mayor frames him for theft and has him dragged away like yesterday's garbage. Why?
Why not? Come in.
This book is not shy about showing how deep corruption runs. Men are reduced to puppets, automatons who do what they're told. Remember Nefissa's father? Well, history repeats itself with Fathea's father. When he resists marrying his daughter to the mayor, what happens? Hajj Ismail and the patriarchal playbook return. Who's the head of the house? And just like that, another father beats his daughter into submission. And if you think that's bad, wait till you meet the darker corners of this story. Because apparently when Nawal El Saadawi wrote this book, she decided, let me show you every shade of depravity possible. So we have a man who sleeps with an ox. Yes, an actual ox. The description is so vivid you might think it's a woman at first. Another man who has intimate relations with corpses. Why? We don't know. And frankly, we don't want to know. The sheikh? He was raped by his uncle as a child, and now he's married to a little girl. And just when you think things can't get worse, they do. Remember Nefissa's abandoned baby? A kind-hearted woman adopts her. But when a mob of men, yes, all men, decides the baby is the cause of the village's problems, they beat this woman and the baby to death. Let that sink in. A baby. By now, you're probably thinking, this is the most depressing story ever. And you're not wrong. Because every chapter starts with a mysterious description that ultimately leads to one of two things. 1, a man doing evil, or 2, a woman being abused. Even the writing style joins in on the repetition game. Sentences and phrases echo each other like déjà vu. For example,
his fingers let go of his whiskers and he gave a sudden gasp, like a drowning man when he comes to the surface.
And on the very next page,
she gave a sudden gasp of relief like a drowning woman who unexpectedly finds herself at the surface.
So how does it all end? Well, the title gives you a clue, but I promise not to reveal it just yet. Let's just say justice comes swinging with a hoe. And that, my friends, is the twisted, tragic tale of God Dies by the Nile by Nawal El Saadawi. This book is a political, cultural, social, and religious firestorm. It exposes how a demagogue, armed with power and aided by religion, can turn a village into a nightmare. It's about how fear paralyzes communities, how oppression thrives when people bow to authority, and how women's bodies become battlegrounds for power. The metaphor of the mayor as God is brilliant. He controls life, law, and survival, just like a deity. When Zakeya finally kills him and says,
I know who it is, now I know him.
And then whispers,
I buried him there on the bank of the Nile.
Because it's not just the mayor she buries, it's the illusion of God that men like him hide behind.
The Pope?
As an expert, I feel qualified to
So
say.
you might be wondering about the themes, right? Well, honestly, there are plenty. First off, there's religious manipulation, the sheikh twisting prayers just to serve the mayor's interests. Then we've got patriarchy and misogyny, where women are treated like property. Power and corruption show up too, with fear silencing any hope of justice. And maybe most heartbreaking of all is the dehumanization. Both men and women lose their humanity. Men fall into blind obedience, and women suffer from this systemic abuse. Now, I'll be honest, this book isn't perfect. It's overcrowded with characters. Many are underdeveloped, so you don't feel emotionally attached. Some subplots, like the man sleeping with corpses or animals, feel unnecessary. Like Nawal said, let me shock you one more time. And if you're hoping for a redeemable male character, keep hoping. Because in Nawal's world, men are either wicked, weak, or both. She does not hold back. Still, despite its flaws, this book makes you think. It makes you angry. And it makes you question, how many mayors still exist today, hiding behind religion, wealth, and power? Nawal El Saadawi was an Egyptian feminist, activist, and writer who spent her life challenging patriarchy, religious hypocrisy, and political corruption. She wrote fearlessly, often at great personal risk. If you've read her before, you know she doesn't sugarcoat reality. Her pen is a sword, and with this book, she slashes through illusions of divine authority and exposes raw, uncomfortable truths. So, would I recommend this book? Cautiously, yes. It's heavy, disturbing, and not her best work in terms of style. But it's important. If you want a book that punches you in the gut and makes you rethink power, religion, and gender in society, this is it. Have you read it? What did you think about the mayor as God? And do you think this story is just fiction? Or does it mirror real life a little too much? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into classic African literature. Until next time, keep reading and questioning. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.